Offering ourselves through fasting, fasting as a spiritual discipline. Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Gary, and I am so grateful that you're giving me a few moments of your time to go on this learning journey as we continue to unpack the spiritual disciplines that we have begun. I would be so grateful if you would take just a moment to share this content on your social platform so that others will know about this learning and growing opportunity in community. Well, let's continue our thoughts from the previous episode and ask the question, what is fasting? So let's start with what fasting is not. It is not abstinence. It is not a restricted diet. Fasting is not abstinence from food. How long is a fast? Well, there's no set time. 24 hours, 48 hours, 40 days. When do you fast? Well, that's up to you. However, study shows that fasting was both a rhythm and a response. Rhythms are like Wednesday, Friday, or Yom Kippur. Most of fasting in the scriptures are based upon responding to a crisis. Jonah 3 notes that civic leaders called for a community-wide fast of men, women, children, and animals. Do we fast in community or alone? Well, either. Matthew 6 is not saying that fasting in community is wrong, but it is wrong to virtue signal people that we are fasting. Why do we fast? Well, to offer ourselves to Jesus, and this is where we are in this second aspect of this one point, to offer ourselves to Jesus. The next three we'll cover in coming episodes: to grow in holiness, to amplify our prayers, and to stand with the poor. The Jews practiced fasting on Mondays and Thursdays. Christ's followers changed this practice to Wednesdays and Fridays to show that they were Christ followers with the Hebrew context, the day Christ was betrayed and the day he was crucified. The early church fathers wrote about the Hebrew Christian culture lived out through the church calendar in a miniature every single week. Wednesday was when Christ was betrayed in the Easter pageantry. Friday was when he was crucified. What a great image, what a great mindset to have and remember and reflect. This voluntary worship allowed the first century Christians to experience the suffering of Christ. They were practicing the model of Christ by dying to self and arising with Christ. Our bedrock reason for fasting is out of a burning hunger to be with Jesus and to become more like Jesus. John Piper calls fasting a whole body hungering for God. Well, what is hunger? It is the feeling that you desire something that you do not have. New Testament scholar Scott McKnight calls fasting a language beyond words, but with our body it talks. I hunger for you, Lord. Not just our body, but our soul that longs for Jesus. To speak to the elephant in the room, there are perhaps many that simply do not hunger for God at all. There are forces outside the walls of our churches that is attempting to monetize your attention and desires to get you to purchase something you don't even need. There are all types of forces within our body to distract us from desiring God. Fasting is a practice to offer our whole body to God. It is a way to awaken I want to know God emotion and desire. All types of forces are conspiring against this desire to numb us and lure us to sleep spiritually. Romans 12:1, therefore I urge you, brethren, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies a living and holy sacrifice, acceptable to God, which is your spiritual service of worship. So the body is soma in the Greek language, and it implies all neural systems, desires, but mostly our whole body being. We talk about giving your heart to Christ. Paul talks about giving your body. Pope John Paul II stated that we have lost a theology of the body. Your body is part of who you are as a person. To say, that is not really me deep inside, I'm something different. Or, when you get to know me, well, this way of thinking is all part of Western philosophy that attempts to separate body and soul. This is not a new concept. New Testament worshipers lived in an era in which Gnosticism was practiced and taught. Gnosticism said the soul is what's redeemed, so you can live in the flesh as you please. This is clearly not the biblical view of God's design. We celebrate the baby Jesus coming in the flesh. That is incarnation, it's body. Easter provides us with a clear picture of a body being resurrected and celebration of all the goodness of the spirit and body arising to live forever in this new created order. Between now and then, our discipleship to Jesus must take seriously the body. 1 Corinthians chapter 6, 19 through 20 says, "Or do you not know that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit who is in you, whom you have from God, and that you are not your own? For you have been bought with a price. Therefore, glorify God in your body." Tish Harrison Warren writes, "We live each moment of our lives, from the best to the worst, in our bodies. We discover love not as an abstract idea, but by fed and held close as infants. We know loneliness as a tightening ache just above the sternum. We meet the passing of season in an icy blast on our cheeks and hot pavement beneath our feet. Pain, pleasure, trauma, and anguish are embodied states. We do not simply have bodies, we are bodies. That's not all we are, but we are irreducibly embodied creatures. And when our bodies fall apart, so do we. Well said, Miss Warren. We fast not to get something from Jesus, but to give something to Jesus, our whole being, with a yearning and hunger. I want more of you. I want to be with you, Lord. Well, our time has come to a close here in this episode as we are beginning now to move our way through the spiritual disciplines, and this segment for a few weeks is going to be about fasting. I do appreciate you giving me a few moments of your time. Would you be so kind to share this information on your social media platform and let others know about this learning and growing opportunity in community? Until we can meet again, we bid you Godspeed. Bye for now.